Hello and welcome to our first tutorial. Today we're going to work on Adho Mukha Svanasana in Sanskrit, or in English it's translated to downward facing dog. It's probably the most popular and well-known yoga pose you've seen all around. Maybe you've even practiced it yourself before. So with that said, I'm going to show you how it's done and also how you can modify it, how to enter and exit the pose safely. Here we go. So the first way that we're going to get into downward facing dog is you would normally start maybe from a cat and cow, so you'd be here in your tabletop. What you can do to enter downward facing dog is to step the hands out. And you'll want to spread your fingers really wide. And when you do downward facing dog, there is a lot of weight in the hands because it strengthens the arms and it also strengthens the back of the legs. So you'll spread your fingers as wide as you can and press into each fingertip and into the palm. That relieves a little bit of weight off the wrist, so you press forward. So you can practice here kind of pressing into each of those points of the fingertip into the palm. Tuck the toes under, and then exhale, send the hips up. So you'll see my knees are bent to begin with. That's okay. That helps to keep the spine lengthened, because that's the main thing, is you want a long spine. And so the tips of the fingers will lead a line all the way through the wrist, through the forearms, all the way through the spine up to the tailbone. So pull the belly in, engage that belly as you lift the hips high, hug the ribs towards each other, and kind of rotate your shoulders out so the shoulders are away from the ears. The gaze can be towards your knees, your thighs, or even your belly button if that's accessible. So feet are hip bone distance apart. When the back of your legs, your calves, your hamstrings open up a little bit more, you can press the heels down, but that's not always accessible, especially when we practice early in the morning and the body's a little tight, or if you're just holding extra stress there. So bend the knees, rise up onto the tippy toes. Everything is working. You're pulling the belly in. A straight line from the fingertips to the tailbone. And then to rest, you drop the knees down and sink the hips back to child's pose, Balasana. That's one way to enter. Another way to enter would be to come into it from plank. And that also helps to find the proper distance between your feet and your hands in downward facing dog. So again, the knees start at hip bone distance apart. Your hands are out here, and then you press up into your feet. So into your toes. You're in your high plank, and then press back down into downward facing dog. And that's the proper stance. So sometimes that feels like your feet are a little far back. You can walk them in just a little bit. But see, if you walk them in too much, you would notice if you come forward in your high plank, it's a little off. So stepping back, you can always flirt around with that. The longer that you're able to hold the pose, the more that you can practice. Downward facing dog is not an easy pose. It's not a resting pose. It's an active pose. So you can pedal the feet out here. That feels really good to open up the hamstrings even more. Keep the shoulders strong, the belly in. And another way to exit the pose would be to walk forward and then come up to a mountain pose. So you can also enter it this way. From your mountain pose, feet are hip bone distance apart again. And folding down. And then walk or step the feet back. And then exhale right into your downward facing dog. Breathing here, pull the belly in. And again, bend the knees if the hamstrings are tight. Drop down to the knees. And that's how you can safely exit the pose. So downward facing dog is really good to help relieve headaches. It can help to stretch and strengthen the arms, the hamstrings, the hips, and even the belly. So it's a full body stretch, and if anybody ever tells you that it's a resting pose, don't believe them. It's an active resting pose, and it's hard. So give yourself a little time to practice every single day. Also, if you're in downward facing dog and you really need a break, just come into child's pose every single time. Child's pose is your friend. So you'll bend the knees, let the feet come flat, toes kiss, and then sink the hips back. And then come right back up. Spread the fingers. Downward facing dog. Be careful to not overarch the spine. So if you overarch, that's like this. You're dipping the spine, which can feel really good on your spine if your spine is a little bit more open. But in yoga, we want to practice so we have longevity. We want to be able to come to our mats every day for years. So finding the proper alignment will keep your body strong and able while still improving the flexibility and the strength so you can practice every day. Thank you.